Welcome back to Unleashing You. Today, I speak with Grace Perry. Grace is a multi-passionate entrepreneur, content creator, award-winning filmmaker, represented actress, model, and travel blogger. Is there anything this girl can't do? Grace believes her true purpose lies in empowering female entrepreneurs to live extraordinary lives through visual storytelling. Grace has set out on a mission to establish a distinctive and innovative, creative digital marketing agency that would help these women reach their wildest dreams. Among the array of services Grace Perry Productions offers, her agency is known for its impactful video production, photography, and social media management services. Grace is incredible at what she does and is just an all-around magnificent human. You feel like you are hanging out with your longtime best friend when you work with Grace. And this combo is no different. So let's jump right in. Hey there, Powerhouse. I have a question for you. Are you ready to make 2025 your year? Are you ready to step into the boldest, most confident self and create a life and career that lights you up? If you're nodding along right now, then you cannot miss Unleashing You Live happening on Monday, February 3rd. This isn't your typical professional development event. Unleashing You Live is a day designed for ambitious women like you, a mix of fun, connection, mindset breakthroughs, and actionable strategies to help you create success on your terms. Here's what you'll experience. Inspiring speakers who will share the real, unfiltered stories of how they built their success. Workshops and coaching tools to help you uncover your next big steps. Networking with powerhouse women who will cheer you on every step of the way. Pop-up shops, a nourishing lunch, and a swag bag filled with goodies to fuel your journey. Whether you're on the corporate track, a business owner, or starting that side hustle, this event is for you. Now for my VIPs out there, because I know you love a little extra sparkle. There's also an incredible VIP experience happening on Sunday, February 2nd, the day before the main event. This exclusive opportunity is designed to treat you like the VIP you are. Here's what's included. A sound bath session to help you tap into your intuition and feel like your best self. An exclusive penthouse social with me, our event speakers, and other VIPs. Think hot seat coaching, appetizers, drinks, and a breathtaking view of Denver. You'll receive exclusive VIP gifts and discounts, plus a private coaching call with me after the event to keep your momentum going. Of course, the VIP package already includes a ticket to the Unleashing You Live main event on February 3rd. Head to acrprofessionalcoaching.com or DM me on Instagram at AmandaRiffy_coaching to grab your ticket now. Whether you join us for the main event or elevate your experience with the VIP package, this is your chance to step into the room, shift your mindset, and create the success you deserve. The energy will be electric, the conversations will be game-changing, and you will leave ready to take on the world. So what are you waiting for? Hit pause, grab your ticket now. We can't wait to see you there. Welcome to Unleashing You. This podcast is your permission slip to create success your way. I'm your host, Amanda Riffy, a certified success coach and female business leader who has climbed her way up the corporate ladder. I've been through burnout and back and found the tools to bring fun and enjoyment to my career while creating powerful results and leading in a way that feels authentic to me. This show brings you conversations with women just like you who have created massive success for themselves and are doing it in their own way. We'll hear about their personal journeys of growing their career, while still prioritizing the things they love most. If you are ready to be challenged and encouraged to reach your next level, then buckle up, sister, because the road to dreamy success begins here. Let's dive in. Grace, welcome to Unleashing You.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here.
I am so excited. And as I said in the intro, like talking to you is like having a conversation with your best friend that you've known for years. And I feel like, all right, like people are going to feel that through this conversation.
Oh my gosh. I feel the same about you, Amanda, too. So this is just a dream come true, honestly.
Oh my gosh.
You light up my life. You light up your client's life and the freaking world. And I love talking with you. So thanks for having me.
Oh my God, you're the sweetest. You're the sweetest. Okay. All right. So I want people to get to know you a little bit more before we dive into the content stuff for the conversation. So Grace, just tell us about you. Tell us about your story, your journey, your business, all of the amazing things.
So my business, Grace Perry Productions, I actually started in 2019, but I really didn't go all in until 2023. And so I specialize in video production, photography, and social media management. That's like my elevator pitch. But really, what I've realized is it's coaching. It's coaching in front and behind the camera and allowing women to just like step into their true power and tell their stories online. And ultimately, I started my background. I've always loved just using cameras to tell stories and capture memories. Even from a very young age, I've had a camera with me. So it's just kind of morphed into this storytelling empire that I'm building brick by brick. And my background is weird because I actually started in corporate a little bit. I did startups. I was a lot of like lead generation and sales for genetic testing companies. I know you're probably thinking, what the heck? But yes, that was where I began. And honestly, I kept these side hustles. I would bartend and waitress and, as much as I could to keep this dream going. And it wasn't until 2023 where I really was like, you know what? I need to invest in myself and I need to just pull the trigger and go for it. And it took me a long time to get here, but it's 2024 and I'm fully independent, fully rocking my business and working with amazing clients like you, and just female entrepreneurs are my jam. And I just love working with women.
One of the biggest things that I love so much about what you said was that, number one, you are fantastic at capturing content. Like, so just your skill level with photography and videography, and you're a drone operator and, all of those things. So, I mean, that is just top notch. But what you said in there that I think really sets you apart whenever people work with you is the coaching aspect. Like I noticed, I think it's on your website somewhere. It's like you get a built-in bestie whenever you work with you. And that's exactly how I have felt working with you as well. It's like you are there to hype people up. You know what is going to look good. And not only that, but what's going to tell the story that that person is wanting to tell. So you captured all the content for us for the Unleashing You retreat. And many of the women there said they didn't feel uncomfortable having you capture all of that, at the time, like very personal things. I mean, we've been on retreats together. We talk about very vulnerable things. And that can, feel uncomfortable when there's somebody that could potentially be taking your video or taking your picture. And you just have this way of just being right in there. And it was just seamless. Like you put everybody at ease. Nobody felt like they couldn't, show up as their whole selves. And then in turn, the content that we ended up capturing from that really told the story that I wanted to tell from that experience. So that is what I think just really up levels your offerings, is that you were just a part of the retreat and you happened to be really good at taking photos.
I know. I'm like, this is my dream job. Okay. First of all, not only do I get to capture, but just to sit with you guys. And thank you so much. That means the world to me. to be like almost like a fly on the wall. But really, you made me feel so a part of the experience that I really appreciated it and got to have fun and just create with you. And that's really what I want content creation to be for everyone is it's just capturing life. It's capturing those beautiful raw moments as well as just your day to day within content creation.
Yes. And that is your elevator pitch. Like that is what you
Thank
do
you.
for sure. So we have many collaborations on the books already for 2025. I know the other day I was like, here are all my dates. I hope you're available because
Yes, I need to respond to that email, by the way. I'm like, yes, 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 yes.
okay, that works. But two of the big things towards the beginning of the year that we're partnering on is Unleashing You Live. So you
Yeah.
will be with a whole team at Unleashing You Live to capture that event. And then also the Beyond the 9 to 5 Mastermind. And we're going to talk about that one here in a second. But let's chat first about Unleashing You Live. One of the common threads throughout all of the speakers and just the content that we've curated for the event is just the importance of having your own personal brand. So whether you are on the corporate track, whether you are a business owner, whether you're a side hustler, your personal brand matters. And so I know that's something that I talk about all the time. That's something that you're really passionate about. What would you say from your perspective is the importance of having that personal brand, no matter what track you're on? And then how does that relate to content creation?
In my personal opinion, personal brand is everything. Humans buy from humans, right? So people to people, and they want to connect with other people, other humans, right? So how can you share your story, which is ultimately what a personal brand is? It's you at your core, you authentically showing up online, whether that's through Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or, diving into YouTube and Google and all these different tools, right? Those are tools. You're sharing your story, you're sharing your authentic edge that makes you you. And when I break this down and I create content for people, I really just ask them, and I'm going to start with kind of a widespread question, but what I want to ask you today, as you're listening to this, is if I gave you $250 million, if I just handed that to you, right, what would you do with it? And I think this question is so impactful because when we think about social media and we think about our side hustles and maybe leaving corporate America, the biggest fear is, well, how do I make money? Right. And so we think of personal branding in terms of generating revenue and how can we, get brand deals and get that business and showcase ourselves online. But ultimately, when I sit with you and we manifest and we think, okay, if I gave you that money, if money wasn't an object, what would you do with it? Right. And the more we dissect, like, yes, you'd buy the house. Yes, you'd, maybe built a walk-in closet or something, right? Like you get the fancy car. But after that, right, what would you do with it? And it always comes down to helping others. I think that's where the impact of your personal brand comes in. So if money was no object, what would you do with your time? And ultimately, I would guarantee you it would boil down to helping someone else. And so I encourage you when you're thinking about your personal brand to think about your impact and how can you show up online, not only sharing your story and the things that you love to do and maybe that business that you're growing or building, or for me, it's all about just like motivating and inspiring others. Like that's what I'm focusing on for my impact. But how can you help someone else drive, right? Drive someone else, maybe even just one person to really live an extraordinary life, whether that's through your story, through just your business, through your services, your products, like whatever that looks like for you. I think a personal brand at its heart is taking one person and sharing it with the world to make a greater impact. And I think when you think of that impact, what is that one person that you would want to inspire most? Like for me, I think of my younger self who was stuck in corporate startup culture, right? It wasn't until I had a female mentor that she got fired like days before Thanksgiving. And it had nothing to do with her work ethic. She was one of the highest paid employees at the time that she was fired. She was actually let go because another man in power did not like her, did not like her personality. And she challenged him often. It was always in a very mature setting. But I tell you this story because it wasn't until this kind of low of low for my friend that I decided to then leave this startup culture and really propelled me to go all in on my business. And so for me, my impact, I think of my younger self and I think of women that I could help and inspire just by telling my story and by building my personal brand. And so my personal brand is kind of morphed. It's morphing every day. It's not just one thing, it's many things. And as a content creator, I might ask you, okay, what are your content pillars? Like we could dive deep into the social strategy, but really what your content pillars are just elements of you that you love and are motivated by. But when we dive deeper into the personal strategy, what keeps people showing up is that impact, is that person, is that younger self that they visualize into inspiring or motivating or, your business, your potential business, if you're thinking about it, could change lives, right? Your products, your services, like look at Amanda, look at this podcast, right? You are changing lives by sharing your story, your events, your retreats, your mastermind. And that is impacting other people outside of yourself. And it's just so important to think about when you're developing your personal brand.
Yeah. And I had a guest on earlier in 2024 who we had a whole conversation around personal brand. And she said, you are creating your personal brand all the time, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. Like it is being created by the things that you're talking about, the way that you show up, the boundaries that you set, the things that you share online. And so why not make that intentional so that you really can create the life and the career and the business that you dream of having? So I love the question that you started with of, if I gave you $250 million, what would you do with it? Because that is so telling as to what we dream about and the life that we want to create. And your personal brand is the vehicle that's going to get you there. And what I think is big about that is that your personal brand, it ends up attracting the opportunities that you desire to you. So if you're a business owner and you think like, I just keep getting all these like crap clients, they don't want to show up, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. Or if I'm on the corporate track and like, yeah, maybe I haven't been asked for a promotion in years, or maybe it's like I get called back for jobs, but they're not jobs that I want, or relationships in our personal lives. It comes back to what I would consider our personal brand, because that's what we're putting out there is what we are attracting to us. So let's put out there the things that we want so that we can attract that to us.
Totally. And it's like that energetic exchange. The audience, your storytelling, it's all interconnected to just, it's a trust. It's a knowing and it's a trust that when I share my story, when I call in that audience, when I release control, because ultimately I think when you're in corporate, you're in startup culture, you like that sense of control. Entrepreneurship, you have to let go.
There is no control.
Yes, no control. And so you are sharing your story with this sort of like, here it is. Here is that trust. And I think it's so hard when you first share your story and build that personal brand, but it's like a muscle, right? It's a repetition that I don't think a lot of people understand. It's like when you go to the gym, when you lift weights, that is the same model that you should be thinking about for content creation and creating your personal brand. It's like every time I hit post, every time I write that blog post, every time I share my story, that is another rep. And I'm building this personal brand muscle to then call in that ideal audience, to call in that wealth, right? That generational, sexy wealth, to call in that healing and that self-development, which often is best friends, besties with entrepreneurship, right? And all of the things that you desire. So it's so important.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times we think that our own stories aren't interesting enough, aren't significant enough. We think like, oh, well, this person, has had all of these things happen to them, and that makes their story really interesting. My life's been kind of boring or insignificant. And it feels that way because it's your own story. And what I have found as I've, really worked on, and you said like our personal brands are evolving all the time. Like you and I are fast movers. So like,
Yes.
check back in 6 months, we'll be, on a different path. But what I found is that even the things that feel almost insignificant to me, or those parts of my story, were actually really pivotal moments or lessons learned for someone else. So like when you said talking to your younger self, or, whoever it is that you're picturing there, there's a story that I tell about just having a moment where, I had realized like, okay, I have hit burnout again. And it took a coach to kind of get that story out of me, because I was like, well, I was just sitting at my desk and all these things were going on, and I just like broke down in tears, and I was like, okay, like something's got to give here. To me, that didn't seem that significant. But when I came back and really told it in a storytelling type of way, and I've got that story in my book, it's so much bigger than what we realize it is. So yes, we've probably had traumatic events and things like that, that if we feel comfortable sharing have really molded who we are. But it's also the smaller things too, of like the random Tuesday where I was crying at my desk and being like, oh my gosh, okay, what am I going to do differently here? So, and I think that's, Grace, to what you do. You are so good at helping to coach people to kind of pull those stories out of us, and then help us share it in a way that feels safe, but feels vulnerable, but also attracts the opportunities that we're looking for and the impact that we're looking to make. So to that point, right? Yes, you do content creation. You help people, with their social and all of that. You are also, again, great at actually capturing the moments. But as you mentioned at the beginning, like what you offer goes well beyond that as well. And so I know you are stepping into even, your era of public speaking and coaching and just taking your business to the next level as well. And so you are going to be a guest speaker for the Beyond the 9 to 5 Mastermind, which I am so excited for.
Woo!
I am so excited for. And because I just know the women inside this group, they're going to be women who are building businesses. They are balancing that corporate life while they're building something on the side. As I was building out this mastermind, I was like, okay, what were the things that I didn't know how to do? Or the things that I had to go seek out and find and learn from other people, or learn by trial and error. And don't get me wrong, there's still going to be trial and error when you're building a business. But I was like, how can I bring together all of these women who are now in my community, who have just like these superpowers in all of these different areas? And you are one of those women, and has this superpower in content creation and storytelling and all the things that we just talked about. So you're going to be doing some content creation sessions with the women in the mastermind, and we're going to do something special at the retreat as well for them. So I'm just like beyond excited. No pun intended, right? Beyond the 9 to 5.
I am so excited.
So excited for that. But what can you share with us today on the pod of just like, what are some of the best tips that you can share when it comes to sharing your story and your brand, your personal brand, through content?
Totally. And so what I've found with like even just the content creation sessions that we're going to do at the retreat, it's so incredibly helpful to, once you're talking, like when you're at these retreats, they're so transformative. Like you're literally witnessing these aha moments and these vulnerable sessions that literally change lives. And what's really cool about pairing those sessions with a transformational photo shoot or video shoot is you have photographic and video evidence of your transformation, right? You're like, here it is. This is me at being a badass at this retreat in Denver, right? Here is proof that I can take it to the next level. So when it comes to your content creation, the number one step, and I'm going to kind of pivot here, is I want you to get super focused on bettering your mental health, your confidence, and your self-development. When it comes to being behind the camera and working with clients, the camera, it's almost like a vehicle for anxiety and for fear. It's like once that camera comes out, it's like, oh shit,
Oh, like
right?
living
Like, yes.
yes.
And it's so different than because we're so used, like our brains are so used to seeing our cell phones when we take photos and videos, but the camera is a whole different element. It feels so much next level and it is, right? It's professional. But what I have found when it comes to stepping into that next level for your content creation is focus first on your self development, your confidence, working in gratitude and practicing like what is your purpose. Like all of that alignment internally will help you show up, right? It will help you push through those emotional blocks. It'll help you understand like what is my story? What do I want to tell? So often I'll push my clients into the direction of self-development work, whether that's leading meditations in the morning, whatever that might look like for you, going to the gym, like really just focusing on you. Because when you are at your best, we can then capture you at your best. In terms of just content creation, I want you to start filming yourself. We call this B-roll. It's essentially just filming. B-roll comes from a term in the film industry where they would insert footage during a film that was unrelated to, or it was related, but it wasn't necessarily what the character was acting out at the time. So B-roll is like additional footage, right? B-roll, when it comes to social media, is essentially just you doing actions where you're not directly talking to the camera. So that could be you working on a computer, right? This could be you at a coffee shop. This could be you just making eggs on the stove. Like, I don't even know why that came to mind, but like whatever you do is B-roll.
I mean, eggs is pretty common for me, and I have never filmed myself making eggs, so you gave me an idea.
Yes, for sure. But, whether it's making a martini, something fun, right? Or whatever it might be. Yoga, like I could name a million different ideas, but I want you to start looking at your life as a shot list. That is your content creation bucket. Like set up your phone. You don't even need a tripod. Just start to record yourself and start recognizing what thoughts come up, what stories you want to tell. And when you were talking, Amanda, I wanted to note oftentimes when, as coaches and creatives, we have these sort of aha moments or these stories. And when you share that message, that it's instant connection. That's how we connect, right? It's like relatability, authenticity. And that's, in my opinion, it's channeling. It's channeling ideas, it's channeling stories to share, to influence and impact. So I want you to, even if it's just a journal or it's a folder on your phone, just start noticing what stories are coming up in the weirdest of places. Like maybe you're driving in your car and you get this aha moment, or maybe it's in the shower, right? Just start taking notes on the thoughts that you have or the struggles or fears that you have. And that is content creation. And those are ideas that you can then turn into content. And lastly, I want to be super transparent. When it comes to practice makes perfect, it is so true. The reason I have been able to become a professional content creator and filmmaker is because I have put in my reps, right? And I would encourage you all to practice and learn video production or learn just even iPhone video production, right? And photography so that you can level up your content creation without necessarily hiring first. Because I am a firm believer that I want you to understand what you're paying for. And this goes for everything, whether it's an accountant or whether it's, a car wash, right? Or, understand what you are paying for before paying thousands of dollars for a content creator and know exactly what your goals are, right? So for Amanda's goals, like she has a couple hundred women coming to Denver to do this massive event, Unleashing You Live. And that is reason for her to promote and to also hire a team of content creators. But for you, from like a smaller scale, I want you to just start learning, be open, be a forever student in this realm because it's not going away. In fact, video marketing is here to stay, as we know it. Video is everything. Video is queen and king online. So the more you can just familiarize yourself with these tools, because that's what they are, the more impact you can make and the more consistent, get those reps at the gym, the content gym, the more consistent you can be, the more confidence you will build and the more impact you will have.
Everything you said is so true. And, I've worked with clients before where they're terrified to hit record on that thing or, have face to camera or voice or, whatever the thing is. And one of the biggest things I think that you said in there was first, it comes from the personal development work because there's some limiting belief, there's some story that you're telling yourself in those moments. Because, yeah, we can tell you, like, hit record, do the things, and you're not wrong because you have to do the action to build the confidence. And we also have to work behind the scenes to build that confidence ourselves. So I think just everything you said was so, so true. One thing that I learned even with video is that like you can take still shots of video very, very easily. So like if you have a video of something and then you need a picture of it, like you can take that very quickly. So start with video is always going to, it's the perfect B-roll because it helps to show your story when you're doing something. And again, it's those small moments. It's not always the big things. But then also you said when you are in a mastermind or in a retreat or something like that, and you actually do have a content creator, you have somebody there capturing that, man, is it so cool to be able to look back and actually have photo or video evidence of like, that was the time. Like that was the time when like I was on a retreat in Greece and had this idea of writing a book and I had it and I spoke it out loud. And then on a ferry ride, I was talking to one of the other girls that was on the retreat and we were both talking about it. And I was like, like, I think I'm going to I think we're going to do this. And I was like, we need to take a picture right now. Like, this is the moment we're deciding to write a book. Like, this is a
Oh,
big deal.
so cool.
And so I have that selfie and I know that that was the moment when I decided to write a book. So there's just, there's so many things that we can do, like you said, to help tell our story and help bring that through. So I have a question for you, Grace. What would you say to someone who is interested in attending one of these events, whether it's Unleashing You Live or joining the mastermind and retreat? What would you say to somebody who's interested, but they're sitting on the fence and they haven't taken that action yet?
Totally. So I mentioned before, 2023 was that pivotal year for me. And it was because my mentor was let go. And I was really upset about that. But I stayed for another 8 months. I was there. I had to build up that confidence, that courage. It wasn't until I started investing in networking groups, masterminds, events that really like almost quantum leaped my business and my confidence. When we get in rooms with other powerful women, it's almost like we borrow their belief in ourselves. So just like you did when you had that conversation on the ferry in Greece, when you're able to talk these ideas out loud, women breathe life into you. They give you that confidence. They let you borrow that belief so that you are able to then make that change, make that impact, and really build an extraordinary life that aligns with you and what you want to accomplish. And so you have to get in the room, baby. You have to do it. You can't hold back. It's one of those things that like, yes, your wallet is hurting maybe temporarily, but if I wish I could add up all of the expenses, I probably could, all of the expenses that I've paid for, and then try to summarize what came from it, right? And a perfect example of this, I went and I did it. For me, content creation is a trade, right? It's a little different than a mastermind or an event. When I first started, I started just giving my services away as a trade. And I worked this event for a nonprofit. It was a golf tournament. That golf tournament turned into a $5,000 course launch and then a $3,000 wedding film. So all in all, it was a free event, right? I didn't pay for it, but I gave my services and I made $8,000, right? So it's like sometimes your wallet has to hurt a little bit, right? Whether it's a trade or you're buying an event, a mastermind, you're coming to Unleashing You Live, which I'm telling you right now, get your wallet and buy the ticket because it's going to be so incredible. You have to allow your wallet to hurt for those memories and for that quantum leap to occur. That is where the priceless, like I can't even define how much quantitative, like I built a 6-figure business because I left those side hustles. Like I never looked back, and I have just, you have to make the jump. You have to take the action, and you just got to come. You got to get in the room. Okay. It's all on you. It's all on you to do that.
And it is. And I cannot remember. I'm trying to rack my brain of where I heard this so I can quote the person, but I cannot tell you where I heard this. But they said that they write down like each one of those big investments that they've made. And then next to it, they put what came out of it. Maybe it was a connection that they never would have had otherwise. Maybe it's, a brand new client. Maybe it was an idea to write a book or start a podcast or leave their corporate job, whatever it might have been. When you look at those and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've spent, X number of dollars to do that, but look at what came out of it. And sometimes it's every single time, like even the most recent retreat that you and I were both at, they're like, what do you want to get out of it? And I was like, I don't actually know, but I know there's something here for me. And it ended up being amazing new connections. It ended up being brand new ideas. The mastermind idea, actually, now that we're saying this out loud, was one of those. So many things came out of that. But going into it, I just had this feeling of like, I'm just supposed to be there, but I don't really know why. And that's okay too. If you don't really know why, but you're just feeling called, you're feeling called for a reason.
Totally. That intuitive knowing. It's so true. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I need you to also understand that events are we're working on this in general. I'm working on this in general. But when it comes to hosting events, it literally comes from your soul. Like it is heart, it is love, it is nothing but gifts. It's giving. Like we're constantly thinking, how can we make our audience or our client feel like this is the best event in the world, right? Like it's all about your experience. So yes, you're investing in an event, but what's behind the curtain are women that are working on making an experience for you. And a lot of the times it's not as profitable as you think. If anything, I can't tell you how many events and masterminds I have, I've run one mastermind, but events where we've gone in the red, like because we wanted to create that transformational experience. And the testimonials were worth it for us to get that, right? To get that outcome because we want to change lives. We want to impact, right? So just knowing that when you're investing in something, you're investing in a small business. It's a small but big business. You're investing in Unleashing You Live and this 9-to-5 mastermind, and you're making an impact greater than you can ever imagine.
Yeah. We could have a whole conversation just on that, and maybe someday we will. Because you and I know we've had conversations about that before as well.
Oh my God, yeah, events, yep.
Right, like we pour everything into these events, these masterminds, these retreats, whatever it is. That's one of the things that I think just really draws me to you is that we have that in common, and like I'm constantly being like, okay, like what can I do? Like what experience can we have? Who can we get in the room? What can we give them? Because sometimes I have to like rein myself in and be like, all right, Amanda, one thing at a time here.
Is gifting your love language?
I never thought that it was, but it is acts of service.
Yeah.
And
same.
Yes. And quality time, which I actually think all of those things are quality time too. Like it's that time just to pour into yourself, which I think is so cool. I know speaking of time, we are running low on time, but I do want to ask you, where are you taking your brand next? What's next for Grace Perry Productions?
So, Grace Perry Productions is morphing. It's changing. For me, I think I'm being called to step into a thought leader. So I launched my podcast, Give Yourself Grace, in August of this year.
It's so good. Everybody needs to listen to it. It's so good.
It's so good. So, it's been a wild ride, but I love it. And I have really just been stepping into that next era of a thought leader. Like, how can I help as many people, and how can I share my message and my stories to create that impact? So I've stepped not that the content creation is going away. I'm just alongside of you guys building my personal brand that's evolving and changing every day. But I'm actually getting called to healing work. I don't know what that necessarily looks like yet, but I am very spirit led. Like I'm very spiritual And I've really been coming out of the spiritual closet, I feel like.
Yes, same girl.
Intuitive knowing, and how do I tap into that, whether that's mediumship, spirit work, healing work, somatic work. So stay tuned, but I want to use my content creation to make a greater impact. And that's what I've been focusing on right now. And so, of course, coaching is just the natural progression of that. But it's really just sharing stories on a wider level, wider audience too.
Oh, so good. And I'm really excited that we're going to be able to collaborate on some of those things for you for this year too. And then what an incredible offering to be able to bring to your clients, as you were talking about when you said like come back to that self-development work and then be able to actually have some of those offerings yourself.
It's all connected. It's so like, I wish I could have told my younger self this. Like, if you want to get started in business, start with your heart, right? Start with your heart. Figure out what is holding you back. What are those blocks? What is that self-development book that you need to read or class you need to take or breathwork session? Like, go deep first within before you can showcase who you are on the outside.
Yeah. I mean, I know I didn't know it at the time, but I took a solo trip all by myself. Duh, of course, the solo. I love that. All by myself and way, way out of my comfort zone. And I was alone with my thoughts for way longer than I ever had been before. And not a month later is when I decided like, hey, I think I want to start something on the side, found coaching. And I don't think that was a coincidence. When you go deep within yourself, that's where the answers come. And that's where a lot of these platforms can really help you to do that. So, Grace, where can our listeners find you? They need to give themselves some grace.
Oh, yes. So my podcast, Give Yourself Grace, it's at Give Yourself Grace Pod on Instagram, and I'm at G Perry Productions, and I'd love to connect with you there. I'm on all platforms. You can find me, graceperryproductions.com. Thank you so much. This has been so great. And I'm just so grateful to be on your show and to be, just a power partner with you.
Yes. I am just, and I said this to you on Thanksgiving, I think, when we were talking about Thanksgiving, what we're grateful for. And I was like, I am just so grateful that you came into my life in 2024. And I can just see like, this is just the beginning of such a beautiful partnership, friendship. We're going places, Grace. So
heck yeah. Get in on this, guys. You got to come to Unleash It You Live and let's hang out.
Yes, in real life. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Grace. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you in advance for all the things that you're going to share with the Mastermind Women. This is just going to be, it's going to be such a powerful experience. So thank you.
It really is. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you'd like to continue this conversation, connect with me on Instagram and say hello. You can find me at AmandaRiffy_coaching. In the meantime, if you know you are ready to step into the next incredible version of you and want to completely accelerate your personal and professional growth, let's work together. I offer one-on-one private coaching as well as workshops and in-person events. There's really something for everyone. To learn more, visit my website at acrprofessionalcoaching.com or send me a DM on Instagram and start a conversation. And don't worry, I truly want all of us to succeed. So I promise I will never steer you wrong. Let's create a career and life you love. Chat with you again soon.